Welcome to the Caddo Convos, the podcast that explores the vibrant community of businesses thriving in Caddo Office Reimagined. We're here to shine a light on the incredible entrepreneurs and professionals who make the most of our private offices, co-working spaces, and day office rentals in the Dallas-Fort Worth suburbs. Join us as we share their stories, celebrate their successes, and dive into the benefits of working in a space that's close to home but offers so much more than working from home. Let's get started with today's conversation. So today I'm joined by Chiffon Samuel of DFW LPC. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about the benefits you provide to your clients.
My client makeup is of kind of mostly healthy employed people. I see people in insurance, but their makeup is that they have had long-term patterns that have made things difficult for them to level up in the world. So like, why am I always getting passed off for the promotion, or why do my relationships only last maybe a year? So in those introductory questions, we delve into the deeper things. So yeah, and people that have more prescient, issues, there's definitely places to refer them.
Interesting. So how do you help your clients?
Through processes in talk therapy. I'm an active listener. I'm very present, but also providing a space for them to make these discoveries and then being a team member with them on their discoveries, right? Also, at some point, there's soft confrontations to help them get out of their patterns, but really through support and teaching them how to be in the therapeutic space.
Who do you help most? Talk to me about your I hate to use this word, but your average client.
My average demographic, like I said, professionals, mostly women, right? Because women kind of lead in therapeutic clientele. Age range anywhere from maybe early 20s to late 50s is probably the range that I'm seeing the most.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And so walk me through the client journey. I'd say they contact you first through your website or otherwise. Mm-hmm. Let's start there.
Typically, they'll fill out an intake form through, and I'm on Grow Therapy, right?
Grow Therapy.
And I take that intake and I kind of shape their first session. I do an informal intake in our first session because I'm trying to build a therapeutic relationship, which depends on comfort, right? So if they feel safe with me in that first session, we can do pretty well. In the intake, I ask about background, presenting concern. And I call it the presenting concern, I'm using air quotes, is usually what was the thing that brought you in here that eventually drove you into a therapist's office, right? Some people know right away and others we find out through the conversation. Anyway, background, presenting concern, also what might be your goals. I'll often say, how did you envision therapy going for you? How often would you like to come? And what is the outcome that you want from a therapeutic relationship?
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What is a typical engagement length? I mean, that's a tough, because it's as typical as there are thousands of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or millions of people.
Sessions are about an hour, right? 53 minutes, but you can be in therapy for a number of years or a number of months. It really depends on how well our collaboration is going. What clients may not know is that what you do outside of therapy really depends on how great our relationship is going. So if you say to me, I really want to quit smoking, and you say it to me week after week after week, but you're smoking, there's time for some light confrontation. Like, what exactly did you want through quitting smoking? Or is that really the goal that you want in the first place?
I like light confrontation.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
I'm not their mom,
Right. But we are going to have some light confrontation. It should be its own podcast. So talk to me about your inspiration. Now, what made your path to what you do now?
I'm a naturally analytical person. I love to ask questions and I love braiding together a story to find answers. And my journey started years ago when I was active duty in the Air Force. I was an intelligence analyst, so already in love with asking questions. But I took Psychology 101 when I was 25 years old, and my purpose was spread out before me. I really knew what I wanted and how to marry the things, asking questions to really helping people in a more one-to-one way. In service, especially in the early 2000s, I was really helping, right? Yeah. But it was broader. So now I help one-to-one every day and seeing individual clients. And from there, I guess I kept serving and I kept going to school while I was active duty. And there came to a point where I had to choose either getting my master's and continuing the journey or continuing to serve because it was starting to compete too much.
Yeah.
And I decided, well, I'm going to go with my greatest desire and follow that into being a therapist. And I never looked back, but every day I take a little bit of what I learned as an airman and incorporate it into my practice.
Excellent. Well, on behalf of our audience, thank you for your service.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And obviously, by the smile on your face and the joy you must have in your profession, you made the right choice.
Oh, yes, I do. I'm confirmed every day. I always say I get to do this, not I have to. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's a great way to start every day.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, so your office here in the Caddo office, reimagined. What's it? Talk to me about your journey here. What brought you here?
Well, I went off solo on my own in 2023, really. And I'd already cycled through 2 other places. The first place was this really cute place in Richardson. And randomly, their funding fell through and we all had to move.
Yeah.
And
it's not uncommon. Yeah.
I'm learning that.
Yeah.
And I was just getting on my feet. So I wanted to present stability to my clients. And so I was so kind of crestfallen by that. So the second place was actually in reaction to losing the first place. I had like 2 days to find another place.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And so while that was wonderful, it just wasn't ultimately, where I belonged as a therapist. And so Caddo, when I finally, actually a colleague that moved here said, you have to come here, So I took the tour. I met the wonderful office manager, Tara, right?
Yeah.
And the surroundings are beautiful. There's also white noise piped into the hall, which is important.
I've noticed that. It's
important for therapists. We need that
is.
privacy, right? I was just sold on how new, clean, conducive to therapy this business is. So I really feel like I'm going to be here a long time.
So speaking of a long time, so talk to me about your career path. What's your plan?
Well, I just started my PhD last week.
Bravo.
Thank you. It was a big step because I kept saying I don't have time. And then I realized as a working adult, when do you ever have time, right? So I'm just going to have to shoehorn it in.
You make time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my plan is to be in solo practice or even add some more clinicians in the next 15 years. At that point, I'm looking to wind down face-to-face clientele and then do more research, consultation, and development of that space instead of doing the one-to-one. So that's my plan.
That's a good plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a growth plan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially, just witnessing the smile on your face when you talk about your profession. You clearly love it.
Yeah.
And so there's nowhere but up for someone like you who's clearly your mission is to help other people. So tell me about, so you're here in Plano. Your office is here in Plano.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the areas you serve. Are you strictly in person? Do you do some online, or what's the best way to help?
I serve both online and in person, and I have clients as far away as Galveston, Austin, other cities, but of course they're online. And I like that online versus in-person duality. I feel I can serve more people. And also I realized that I just need to be in person probably 3 days a week because my split is about 60-40, 60% online, 40% in person.
That's great.
And there's definitely some people that feel like real therapy is done in person and they want to sit on the couch and they're very tactile. That's fine. I can, provide that Monday through Wednesday. Everyone else, we can do online. And being in the Metroplex, how big and busy it is, online really helps a lot of people. I take a lot of sessions with people in their cars, not driving, but pulled over because they just really can't get away or they got into a conference room at their office. They're making therapy work.
Yeah.
And so I really meet them where they are in that space if that has to happen for them.
Could you tell me about one of your client experiences?
I have again and again been really impressed with people's ability to change, right? Because some people say people never change. Well, in my business, I see change happen all the time, right? That's on my website. I started out in addiction therapy, getting my residency hours years ago when I was in Amarillo, right? And I was the drug court appointed counselor.
Oh, boy.
So these were the people that were doing the worst on probation. They had one chance after another, and their addiction just kept winning. So several times over felons. We would take a person into our special program for about a year, right? And I got to watch this person go from being, at their worst to being a whole different person. Many times they would say, well, I saw the new recruits and I was nothing like that. They can't even identify with who they used to be.
Wow.
So watching a person like not have all their teeth, the hygiene's bad, their thinking is bad, pushing them, challenging them because they're saying, this is your last chance. Is this or prison, right?
Yeah.
And then watching them turn into what they call a pro-social person, with someone who is interested in having a good job, living in a better neighborhood, thinking about their kids. They just transform. And I always thought, I'm so lucky to see a person change that way, right? And it always happens in secret, right? What happens between a therapist and their client is confidential, but I get to see this beautiful change all the time, and it's just me and that other person witnessing it. I think that's special.
That's beautiful. I love that term. It's one of the things I enjoy about meeting people like you is I get to learn all these new terms. Pro-social. It's really great. But it's great too that you get to witness, especially, when you mention it's difficult for some people who, we've all had our lows, but the low you're describing is extremely low.
Yes.
Like the mental and physical anguish a person must be feeling to be that low. And you get to see them to rise to their best possible self given the circumstances.
Yeah.
So what a blessing you must be to their lives. So I can't thank you enough for coming in and being on the show today, Chiffon. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today on the Caddo Convos podcast. A huge shout out to our incredible network of members for making our community vibrant and supportive. If you're looking to boost your productivity and reduce the isolation of working from home, consider joining us at Caddo Office Reimagine. Our spaces are designed to meet your evolving needs, support remote work, and foster a sense of community that's hard to find at home. Whether you're a startup aiming for growth, a freelancer seeking a professional setting, or a company looking to optimize resources, Caddo offers a perfect blend of flexibility and innovation. By joining us, you'll be a part of a dynamic business ecosystem that helps you thrive. For more information, visit caddooffices.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Caddo Convos.